perspective, mentorship, or markets?
All right. When it comes to access to finance, yes, I've been able to receive external funding. And one of the key areas, even before I got the business to an area of access to finance, it was realizing that the skill sets required to start a business are not the same skill sets required to grow a business. So when you realize that capacity, that as much as you're a doctor, to run a chain of clinics, you don't need the same skill sets. So understanding that, the first thing you do, we have so many programs out here that are going to enable you to do that. Simple things and emotional things as delegation. To some people it is not easy because you tend to carry your business as your baby. So delegation becomes a bit harder. But when you get into these programs, you get to learn what is hiring, what is firing. Again, that's not easy for me, especially let me say when I was starting off, hiring and firing was not easy. You had to talk to yourself, I need to make this firing decision and it is for the good of my business, and you eliminate the emotional aspect of how are they going to pay rent, how will they, So going through such kind of skill sets, and then of course as you build the business, then you realize your biggest role when you start the business. Sometimes you're busy a lot because you're doing everything, and I'm trying to speak to people who have begun from ground zero, building up. So to grow the business, you don't need to be busy, and from an emotional perspective, you need to forgive and yourself for allowing yourself not to be busy. As we say, women are poor in terms of time because we have so many things to do. So you need to understand the skill of growing your business is as simple as making a decision. That is where you are at. It is about strategy. It is about going to lunch to meet other entrepreneurs, not ensuring that the order left at a particular time. So all those skill sets are skills that you require to grow a business. And of course, growing the business is okay. As you build the numbers, that is okay. Again, valuation is a very critical part of a business. You may want to delegate valuation to somebody else, but sometimes I need to walk to ABSA and negotiate the terms they are giving me because I understand. Again, I need to leverage, my business is in agriculture, so impact is a very big part of what I do. So how do I leverage impact as well as my numbers to be able to get maybe access slow capital, for example, or access grants or matching grants. So you need to understand all the areas of strength your business has. If your business is in a certain space, just beyond going to ask for that capital, you need to understand how else you can be able to buffer your business. So I think one of the most important things is skill building. And for me and for many others, maybe my friends, is you need to understand that your work is not to be busy in the business, but to be strategic. And strategy means sometimes sitting in class, understanding your numbers, unit economics, because a bank will come or a facilitator will come and give you a facility at 15%, yet your profitability is at 12%. So you really need to understand 100 million in your account is not profit, it is capital. So how do you break those numbers? And most importantly, as you access finance, not all money is good, as much as you're looking for that money, because investors come with their own demands. So as I said, building the business requires you to be slow in terms of you're not the everyday face of the business, because you need to understand, you need to study the people who are giving you money, you need to study them, you need to understand what they are looking for and if you're properly aligned to them. Otherwise, you're going to be in a very long-term relationship that is just stressful, because what they want and what you want and most importantly, the value that you're giving to your customer. You know, customer is king at the end of the day. Building a business on customers is better than always relying on external funding. So putting the customer first, delivering value to that customer as you look for external financing to fund you. I think how I would lastly like to put it is building a business to a point where it attracts investors, you're doing something right. So you don't sit there looking yourself as the shorter end of the bargain, you actually have the longer end of the stick. So with that, you are able to look through pools of of VCs, for example, and others, and you get to choose who aligns
What is
to
a
you.
VC?
Venture capitalists, yes.
No, thank you so much. I think the pearls of wisdom you've just shared are really, really amazing and quite good practical experience. Are there any questions in the room to my panelists? Just show by a raise of hands.
Hello everyone. My name is Lucy. Most of the people are behind here. Lucy Kiburi. I am a lady in manufacturing, toilet paper, serviettes, and hand towels. And the question that I have I think mine goes to Wendy. How do the ladies in this room join She Wins and She Grows?
So Zini, do we take a list of questions and respond?
Yes, let's take the first two.
Okay.
I run a digital marketing consultancy. I couldn't find the name, so I called it Farahab Consultancy. My question is, okay, anyone in the panel can answer. So I know we have Absa Bank as one of the, I guess, financiers, but my question is, was there a strategic reason why microfinances were not considered, or why we not talked around it? Because I find that, especially for women in business, it's kind of a lot easier to walk into what you would consider your level kind of financier as you're starting out. The other question I have is around the handling of the money, especially as a startup. We were having a conversation with my friend here, Irene. We were saying, when money for a business owner, especially as a woman, the money that comes from a business is not really business money. It is money for your home, it is money for your kids. So I don't know, are we going, maybe I'm preempting, but are we going to have a conversation around, if I am thinking around growing this business, how do I start to look at the money that comes from my business, so that when somebody is saying, I want you to grow your business, I'm able to show, look, this is how my business money looks like, this is how my personal money looks like, given that they're all coming from the same source.
And I think most people in the room have that question, have all those 4 questions, and you've vocalized them. I'm going to ask Wendy to start with the programmatic one, and then Absa to speak to microfinancing. Lucy, if you can speak to the differentiation of money coming in for the business versus money going out, that is linked to your own personal income, separation of that. And I think there was another question around financing. And you can take the last question that she was asked. I think it was the first question she asked, and that's separation. Let me hand over to you.
The question now for the She Wins, the first cohort that Lucy and other women entrepreneurs were in, that went. But what we do is we normally do a call for proposals, and the call for proposals can be, and Lucy will probably share that experience. It can be quite, it's an exercise that requires you to really be very detailed and vigilant, so that when you're applying, you send in a very good application, because they are vetted by a team to see who qualifies and who doesn't qualify. So then that's one way that you enter into She Wins. Now, She Grows is something that we are still scoping for, because remember, having businesses that has a turnover of about 100 million, those are not many businesses here. So that we are really quite open to the number that we can get. The more we can get in She Grows, the better. In terms of sectors, we are sector agnostic. I know most women here would probably be in manufacturing, agri, or services. So we are sector agnostic. we would like to grow these women and create a good pipeline for investors to invest in this business. So we are quite open in terms of sectors. And She Grows really creates more opportunities because it's really where we want all businesses to be at. We want businesses to be where at a place where you're even ready, for IFC to invest in your business. Thank you.
Thank you. And I think when you say She Grows and we hear Lucy's story, we're thinking she's growing onions. But she's actually growing her business. So maybe Lucy, if you can take the next one. We need to separate income from your business, paying yourself a salary to support your family. Not if you're running a tuck shop and you've got a whole fridge with Coca-Colas that you're selling. It's not an extension of your fridge at home where the kids go and get Coke and have lunch. Those Cokes are for selling. So Lucy, can you tell us how you've managed to navigate that?
Absolutely. Let me begin by saying that is a challenge that I faced for about 1.5 years, where when money would come in, I would be quick to pay my rent and just trying to be stable, first of all. Because if you're building a business and you do not have a financial backing or a salary from elsewhere, you have bills to pay, and that is the reality. So one of the things that I would say is very important is just understanding the numbers. If you're running a consultancy company, how much do you need to just pay the rent of the business? If you work from home, that is hallelujah for you, because your house rent, if you live in a rented apartment, is sorted as part of the business. So understanding some of these, I would say maybe accounting basics is very important. And the good thing about Kenya is that you can get someone to even help you with the financials for 3,000 bob, a consultancy for 3,000 bob, so that you're able to understand if you have a car and you're meeting a client, then that is not you as a person, that is not your expenditure, it is the company's expenditure. So when you start looking or outfitting the business in that way, you start looking like a person from the bank. When a banker goes to see a client, they don't use their own money, it is the company that pays. If the banker goes to meet a client and there's lunch as an expense, it is an expense for the business, not your personal expenditure. So once you're able to understand small, let me call them small, the tiny unit economics of your business, it becomes easier to get to a point where you can structure a business that is bankable. Because again, the language that we use as business people and the financials are just heaven and earth. For us, the mathematics are quite simple. We want profit, we want to know if you're making a loss, but the financials will come and ask for 3 years financial statements. They want so many things. So for things like a financial statement, open a till number. For starters, just open a till number. When money is coming in, it is not to your M-Pesa, it is to the business or to the till. The beautiful thing is that you don't have to start from up there. Business registration, I registered a while back. I think when I was starting, I couldn't even afford the 13,000 bob to do a company. So I did the business search and business name at 1,500. And then once I got the business certificate at 1,500, I quickly ran to the bank and got a till number. So when I was figuring out my business, the first 1 year, I could be able to provide financials for the business, because sometimes they want to see money in versus money out. So already you have started to sort that one out. If you do not have a team that can do accounting, get a mobile app maybe for the business. And if you're putting money out, they usually ask you the reason of the expenditure. It is optional, but if you put it there, it helps you. At the end of the month, you will know how much do I spend on Boda guy, the delivery person, how much do I spend on this and that. Again, what you're doing is, we like to fancy it with the word building systems, but in reality, you're just getting a bit organized. So at the end of the 2 weeks or a month, you can pull out a statement that says, money came in, it was from this client, the purpose of the money was this, money went out, it went out because we had to pay rent for the company. If you work from home, that is rent for the company, for example. So at the end of the day, you might give yourself a small stipend before the business becomes strong enough to pay you properly, but this stipend just comes to you as a pocket money, because most of the finances or most of the things that you're doing are around the business. For example, if I come from Banana and come to town to get stock, that fare is not for me to pay, it is the business to pay that fare. So understanding it so simply is what the financials are going to say. We want to see your systems, we want to see your, these are the words that they like scaring us with, how quickly money is coming in versus how quickly you have to pay your suppliers. They like scaring us with that one a lot, to see your stock, how your stock is doing. These are very simple things. As a business person, all I need to know is, if I am doing a cosmetic shop, can I tell the supplier, please come pick your money after 3 weeks, so I could hear after 3 weeks, so that I get the stock, I sell slowly, and then you come pick your money. That is what they are trying to say, to see the balance sheet and cash flow. That is what they are asking for. So in reality, if we take the business in those small wins and aspects, you're able to separate your money as much as possible. The other question that I was asked was on the proposal. Again, as I mentioned, now as your business grows, you need to take a step back to understand the language of the financials or these other organizations, because out of experience, we don't speak the same language. Here, the way I tell my supplier, just give me that on loan, come pick the money tomorrow. That is something as simple as saying, when the money comes in, I don't have to pay cash up front, I pay after sale. So what they are saying and what we are saying tends to be a bit different because of the wording. So you just need to take a minute to understand the wordings of your business, and again, understand what goes beyond your business. As Absa is saying, we like to tell the story. So what is this that is going outside me selling toilet paper? I am doing sanitary, I'm doing sanitation. Those are the words they like to hear, sanitation. For me, who is in agriculture, I'm looking at food security, I'm looking at climate action. At the end of the day, we're just talking about onions and irrigation kits, but for them, it's climate action. So you need to take a minute, because at this point, as I said earlier on, you need to study who you want to invest in your business. You can call it stocking, kama wewe ni Gen Z, you can say stocking, you can say whatever word you want to say. However you want to fancy it, you must understand, if Absa, if their tagline is telling your story, you must learn how to tell your story, and it is telling the story in the way that matters to them. If, for example, the program that I am in at She Wins Africa, they were looking at where your business is, and for it to become, say, 100 million business, if you're at 10 million, what steps are required for you to get to 100 million? But the most beautiful story is, how do you build from 0 to 10 million? So don't forget that you have that asset in you, that you can build from 0 to 10 million. Yeah.
No, thank you for that. And you're very passionate about your business. Let's give her an applause. And you spoke about very good nuggets that I think everybody can relate with. And I like the way you ended off by saying the bigger story is on the 0 to the 10, which is where the other question comes from, microfinance. Where I come from, we call them machonisa, because the interest rates and the terms and conditions of getting microfinance are very punitive. It's not good money, but it's the money that's available that will not interrogate you. So let us, and also you get money from friends and family and the neighbors. And I think we call them stockfills, I think you call them chamas, where you then pull the money together. So at what point does Absa look at that, and how do we engage? You could also step in, Patricia, if you'd like.
Thank you so much. I think I'll start by giving an example, because one of our concerns was, why are we not involving such partners in such discussions? And I would say that partners work with like-minded partners, because we are all offering money to the market, we are giving loans, but then you have to have a gender lens for you to make sense to the partner who is looking at things through a gender lens. When you go to buy yogurt, what do you ask for? Plain, isn't it? But the main thing is the same. You find strawberry, find vanilla, which other one? Chocolate, caramel, you like to call it that way. But then there is also natural yogurt. Yes. All right? All of it is yogurt. But then what we do, when you look at an institution like ABSA giving access to finance to women, we're just taking the same product, but then we give it a flavor. The flavor that makes sense to the eater, to the consumer, to the woman. We check the lens, we put in gender lens in this product. And so that is what now attracts partners to work with the same or like-minded partners who are focusing in the same group. Now about micro segment, this is what I have to say. Women are very brave, especially nowadays, and they are daring, and that's why they are here. We talked about obesity. But there's sometimes, and I think borrowing from her words, you don't need to sell yourself short. So don't look at ABSA and think this is a bank for, the perception. Maybe I'm not fitting here, I know that. Show up. Because you'll be surprised that we're able to accommodate all the way from micro to the 100 million to the billions. And that is how we shape stories. And I started by saying there's no too small or too big story. That is part of the other thing that we say. So within our segments, you'll find there's someone who can borrow even as little as 2,000 from the phone. If you dial star 848 hash, you'll see the limit allocated. Because maybe you don't have the capacity, you're just starting, you just need to go and buy 2 trays of eggs, go sell, boil, sell with kachumbari in the evening, then come back, or you want to sell masks during? When it's necessary. Small bits of it. So that becomes your space. Now, as your story grows from now 0 to 10 million, then you get into the micro space, because the first one is nano space. The micro space where we consider you between 0 to 5 million. Then from there we have 5 to 15 million of turnover, then we have 15 to 30, then we have 30 to 500 million, and then 500 million to 1.5 billion, then after that you become a corporate. So all the way we speak to you is the way she's speaking, because we want you to understand us and we want to understand you. We take you through programs for training. The training is again based on the level of your business. There are some we are teaching basic bookkeeping, very, very basic, so that you can be able to do audit using your own eyes. Stock, money in the bank, I've paid the debt, and I have some money left. From that now to putting in a simple record, separating the till with your personal money and the separation that she was talking about. But there are others. We have other programs with our partners that we are doing, for example, women in export business and how they can scale up and go outside of Africa. Again, some of them started with small stories, and we build those stories and they go out there. And I close with an example of some of the other things we are doing for anybody who would be feeling maybe they are down there and you feel maybe this is a very big bang for me. I said, first of all, show up. You'll be surprised. Dare. The same way you dare, go ask for that order, and you get it, you get surprised. How do I finance this? We have been taking small stories and putting them on our platform and amplifying them. Last year, as we launched our foundation, we got in a 24-year-old Gen Z, a lady from Rift Valley, North Rift. She's just doing something simple. Business is not done with the complications. Selling honey, just packaging it, and then just selling. But she's authentic, the quality of her product, back to what our first speaker was talking about. And she has a repetitive market. And then she was the main highlight of the event, where government officials were there, leaders of the bank were there, stakeholders and partners, and she just spoke about what ABSA has been for her at her young age with just her honey only. The rest is history. She wished she came with some drums of honey to the event. Another one came, I don't know whether you saw last year. We were invited by banks by Kenya Bankers Association to put in a tent, and a woman we invited to come and just display her bags. And it attracted the attention of the ministers, the president, and all that. And the first customer guessed who it was. It was the president, and there was news all over him walking with a bag that he bought from that stand. Now, the call that came a week later is the call you've been waiting for. So we pick small stories, bags made by women somewhere from the house, then we amplify those stories, but then we also finance you even within your level.
No, thank you for that. I think it's a round of applause for it. And given that you're both yogurt, as you put it, can you then speak to the innovative and the other parts of the questions that were raised?
Maybe just to tie in something Lucy said, take the time to learn the skills. And some of what she also said, when it's a business expense, recognize it's a business expense. The reason for that is at the end of the day, you need to price your products and services profitably. And the only way you can do that realistically is putting all your costs in before you determine the price. So that stipend or that salary, you are employee 101. And by being employee 101, you frame a salary for yourself, which means you'll not be borrowing from the business prematurely because it's not yours, it's the business money. But at the same time, you're not starving or being kicked out of your house because you're working and not earning a salary. So it loops back to ascertaining what are business expenses and then using that to price correctly. The reason I raised it is part of the non-financial services that we find are the most practical for growing business. Understanding profitability, understanding your market, marketing, growing your customer base, managing your cash flows. And on managing your cash flows, it's a great story of a woman who was, before she took this training, she had borrowed a few loans from microfinance institutions. But after she took this training, she said, my kids, since I took the training, 1, I have not borrowed. 2, my kids have not been sent home from school. And 3, there's no day we have slept hungry. She understood her cash flows from keeping track of her cash flows and realizing when she needed money in advance and when she needed to slow down on purchases. And that allowed her to play within the resources she had. Secondly, she also learned strategies for how to build working capital. Instead of financing the order completely, she's manufacturing bags for export. Instead of financing the bags, the whole order completely, she would take a down payment, a commitment from the buyer, which locks in the buyer, but it also makes sure that she has some cash to buy her materials. So the training itself is a great investment. It may not look like much in the beginning, but it does really help you in navigating the decisions that will help you grow from 0 to 10 million. On the question of microfinance, I want to say that when I was speaking, I was aware I was kept talking SME finance. And initially, I think IFC's initial investment had separated what we did in microfinance as a separate segment and what we did in SME finance. They're different segments, true. But over time, we realized one gap between men and women financing is because a lot of women are playing in micro, and micro has less access to formal financial services. So today, when we speak banking women, it cuts across. So micro are not excluded. If you go to a bank that claims to have solutions for women, you will find that you are accommodated there. And just to speak to one last innovation, not by us, but by a bank that we worked with, they realized that they were comfortable banking higher segments, SMEs. They were not ready at the time to bank micro, but they realized most micros were getting their finance from SACCOs, from chamas, from family and friends. So what they did was build a solution for chamas, because a lot of women were complaining, we lose money, sometimes the chairperson, the treasurer is not reachable when you need money. So they built an app which allows all members to see each other's contributions, allows all members to see the balance, and allows all members to see who hasn't paid. So it allowed them to put more, invest more in the chamas which are offering them the financing solutions reliably, so to speak, until they can grow bigger.
No, thank you for that. A round of applause, please. I'm going to end here and just ask for one gold nugget from the panelists that you can leave with the audience today. I'll start with you, Patricia.
I want to say that if you're out there looking for financial solutions for your business and for yourself, I think you would be well informed if you're looking for a banking partner, to look for a partner that has already thought about the women market, has a focus on the women market, and has developed financial and non-financial solutions for the women market. You will know the difference, you will feel the difference when you get there. You will see the level of listening is different. They have increased their capacity for gender intelligence, and they are also solutioning for women's needs wherever you are. So you have a wide spectrum to shop in. Just do the work, find it, and also ask your friends, because the best thing about women is when they find something nice, they talk about it. Thank you.
going to say only two things as a closing remark. Number one, when you go to the branches, ask for a SHE account. Realized everybody's talking about SHE. We also have a SHE. It's called a SHE account. And for us, SHE is not about gender. It's See Her Empowered. That's what it stands for. Wow. So ask for that account, because when you have events, when you have webinars, when you have forums, then you can easily get access to that information, to the training and the rest. At ABSA, we believe in empowering Africa's tomorrow together, each story at a time. And we want to create the stories together. The second thing I want to say is to challenge you to leverage on data, because that's how we are able to solution you as a woman. Looking at your needs by taking advantage of the data. And it is simple, and I'll put it the way Lucy would want it put, not from the banking language. When is the last time you texted, you called, you checked on that customer who bought 6 months ago, who bought cement, who bought stones, who bought metal bars? They must be almost painting their house. When is the last time you checked on them? You run a salon. When is the last time you checked on that person who came and did twist? Sister-in-laws. And you know how long it takes to go down. When is the last time you reminded them and scared them? Well, you must take care of your hair. You need to come back. Otherwise, from there, it will start splitting. Now, that tells you where my money goes now. When is the last time you checked on that customer? They have been paying you using M-Pesa. You have their number. You have not called. That is the same thing we are doing in the bank. We are looking at your behavior, using data, allocating you a score that we can solution you. And the shocking thing is that we have this data with us. We are paying you using our phones. You know us, you know the frequency. You know by now my gas should be empty. When is the last time you just checked? Before COVID, where I used to take my suits, I stopped. During COVID, somebody showed up in a white suit, very clean car, white carpet, Suzuki Maruti, knocked my gate. I peeped because I feared COVID. But he said he looked harmless because of the way he was dressed. He showed up. He said, we can pick your suits and take them, clean them, and deliver them back in a day. That is the last time I went to the shopping center to deliver my suits manually. What is happening to the mind of the person who was cleaning my suits? Are they assuming I stopped dressing? Are they assuming I stopped using water to clean my suits? I simply shifted. I have no idea where that dry cleaner is. Today, if they ran away, I have no way of getting them. But they faithfully show up. The guy who used to deliver water, same thing. I used to take bottles for refilling. I have been buying there. They have my data. Nobody called to find out whether now I'm taking yogurt instead of water. Somebody offered to be delivering. And the last one, the guy who had put posters, Mwaki Gas, Maina Gas, and everything, somebody showed up and said, we deliver. I don't know where the shop is. Where I was buying before, where we were buying before, they have our number, they have our frequency, they can analyze and see, they can make decisions and find out that gas must be coming to an end. Those 3 businesses, they lost me. They didn't take advantage of the data that is in their possession. Don't take yourself seriously. You are going far, let's check the stories together, one story at a time.
I'm saying, listening to you, it's clear why he's the head of SME banking. He took us from twisting hair to the hair salon, to the dry cleaner, to water, to gas. Not only do you understand the business itself, but you understand your customers. And I think that's the message I get from that. Know your customer. No one can beat Erastus in knowing you guys and banking you guys. Wendy?
Thanks, Erastus. He made me think about how I walked away from an online service provider and they've never called me. So it really is true. Yeah. I think what I'd like to say for what we are doing at the IFC in the gender team is that women are so critical for us. They are critical for us in the sense that we don't think about women as social justice. We think of women as strategic people to really drive economic growth. And women entrepreneurs are really key in that. So what I'd like the women to take from here is that Anne spoke about sourcing to equal phase 1. We will be having sourcing to equal phase 2. Please look out for that and how you can participate in. We've moved to the next level of She Wins. phase 2. So kindly look out for that. And please look out for She Crews, because women entrepreneurs in Kenya and in Africa are really what we rely on to push economic growth. Thank you.
Let me say I'm so inspired to go and do better. I will be very deliberate with customer relationships. I think that it's easier to maintain a customer rather than to get a new one. Yes, and my final take as an entrepreneur, own your story.
Thank you. Thank you very much to my panelists. I think we've had a good conversation today. Thank you.
Before you step away, a very nice photo. Now, as you take those photos, we also have something special just to say thank you to you, as well as panelists. Please do not leave the stage. Bad. So we are all... Thank you, Sazini, for being an awesome moderator. Thank you. Next, we have Patricia. A round of applause. Then we have Mr. MSMEs. Thank you so much. Erastus, thank you. The onion doctor herself. A round of applause, please. And the person that you need to know for She Grows and She Wins, will send your follow. Thank you. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much.